Hello everyone, I'm Nova. My name is Silvia Agustina with my last 3 digit of NPM is 172. In this video, I will present to you chapter 1 and 2. So, let's just start with chapter 1, Determinants of Culture. Here's the list of contents we will discuss today. The first one, what does culture really mean? The second one, norms and value. The third one, cultural assumption and management. The fourth one, national culture. Fifth one, organizational culture. Sixth one, corporate culture. Seventh one, professional culture. Eighth one, culture and management. And the last one is the conclusion. And now let's just start with the first one. What does culture really mean? Culture is a complex and often contradictory concept with many definitions. It can refer to aesthetic, philosophy, national identity, or organizational behavior. Essentially, culture shapes how people think, behave, and view the world as it is passed down through generations. Hofstede in 1980 described culture as the collective programming of the mind that distinguishes one group from another. This means that culture is learned and shared within a group, shaping values, behavior, and perception. Importantly, no culture is inherently better than another, each is unique and relative to its own group. So next is norms and values. Norms are the rules that guide behavior, while values are deeper beliefs about what is important or right. These shape the way people in a culture think and act. Norms can vary within a society and while cultures change over time. These changes are usually gradual. Next is cultural assumption in management. Cultural assumption, as identified by Shane, from the deepest layer of culture and are crucial in a management context. These assumptions are shared beliefs about how to solve universal problems related to survival and group cohesion. They evolve over time and are passed down through generations. In management, these assumptions influence how people approach tasks and relationships. For example, they shape belief about whether we can control nature, whether action is more important than reflection, and whether people are inherently good or bad. And the next is national culture. National culture is a constant trait that makes people from one country distinguishable from others. It may be diverse but contains enough common elements to create a distinct national identity. Type identifies key elements that shape national culture. The first one, physical environment, which is the natural surrounding and geography of a nation that influence its culture. Second one, history, which is the events and experiences a nation has gone through that help shape its national culture. Also, there is some key institutions that contribute to a national culture. It includes family, the primary unit where cultural values are passed down from infancy, and there is religion. Even if not everyone is a believer, religion influences the environment and worldview of a culture. And there is education. The education system instills cultural values and shapes the future workforce. And there is mass communication media. It's like TV, radio, and the internet spread cultural values and create shared experiences across a nation. And there is multinational companies. These influence culture through the products and services they offer, while also adapting to the cultural preference and different nations. These elements and institutions work together to build and maintain a nation's culture, making it unique yet shared among its people. And the next is organizational culture. Edgar Schein highlights the powerful influence of culture on both individual and collective behavior within organizations. He explains that organizational culture shapes how strategies are formed, goals are set, and operations are conducted. The cultural backgrounds of key personnel also play a role in shaping their values and decisions. Shane defines organizational culture as a pattern of basic assumptions developed by a group as they solve problems. These assumptions become accepted as valid and are taught to new members as the correct way to think, feel, and act in the organization. Next is corporate culture. Corporate culture goes beyond just organizational culture, especially in multinational companies. As companies expand globally, the culture at their headquarters can influence their subsidiaries abroad. Similarly, when companies engage in joint ventures with foreign partners, the resulting corporate culture may be a blend of the original organizational culture and the national or regional culture involved. Experts differ on the importance of a fixed versus flexible corporate culture. Some believe a well-defined corporate culture is crucial for success, while others argue that adaptability to local environment is more important. Ultimately, corporate culture is shaped by both external factors, like national culture, and internal factors, such as company goals, policies, and the influence of long-standing employees. Next, professional culture. Professional culture refers to the shared values among people in specific roles within a company, and it can significantly impact corporate culture. Edgar Schein identifies three main professional culture in management. The first one, operators, those directly involved in producing goods or providing services. And the second one, engineers, the people who design and oversee the technology behind production or service provision, often favoring system-based solutions over people-focused ones. And the third one, executives, senior managers who have their own set of assumptions about their roles and daily realities. Next, culture and management. Culture influences management by shaping how individuals contribute to an organization. This influence comes from their family, social, and national backgrounds, as well as their professional and corporate experience. Cross-cultural management involves understanding and improving interactions among people from different cultures within organizations. In an increasingly globalized world, effective cross-cultural management is crucial for successful international collaboration, such as mergers and partnerships. And now we reach the last part of chapter 1, it is the conclusion. Culture shapes how we act and think, both personally and in organizations. It includes visible things like language and customs, deeper beliefs about what's right or wrong, and unspoken assumptions we don't often think about. Understanding culture helps us to see how it influences everything from how countries operate to how companies run. In global business, knowing and managing cultural differences is crucial for success. It helps companies work better together and adapt to new environments. So that's all for chapter 1. You might have questions about this chapter, but please save it until the end of the video. And now let's continue to chapter 2, Dimensions of Culture, Hofstede and Globe. Here's the table of contents that we will discuss in chapter 2. The first one, Hofstede's national cultural dimensions. Second one, criticism of Hofstede's method. Third one, Hofstede's response. Fourth one, cultural dimensions according to Globe. 5.1, from dimensions to clusters. 6.1, conclusion. And the last one, study case. And let's start with the first one, Hofstede's national cultural dimension. Hofstede's cultural dimension are a way to understand how different cultures vary in how they think and act. Here's a simple breakdown of the key dimension. The first one, individualism vs collectivism. This dimension looks at whether people in a culture prefer to act independently or as part of a group. In individualistic culture like the US, people focus on personal goals and achievement. In collectivist culture like China, People prioritize group harmony and family over individual desires. The second one, power distance. This measures how much people in a society accept unequal power distribution. In high power distance culture like many Asian countries, people accept that power is distributed unequally. In low power distance culture like Scandinavian countries, people accept more equality and challenge authority. The third one, femininity vs masculinity. This measures the value placed on traditionally masculine versus feminine traits. Masculine cultures like Japan value competition and success, while feminine culture like Sweden value quality of life and cooperation. The fourth one, uncertainty avoidance. This indicates how comfortable people are with uncertainty and ambiguity. High uncertainty avoidance culture like Greece prefers strict rules and clear instruction. Low uncertainty avoidance culture like Singapore are more open to taking risks and accept change. 5.1 Long-term vs short-term orientation. This measures how much a culture values long-term planning versus short-term results. Culture with a long-term orientation like Korea focus on future rewards and persistence. Short-term oriented cultures like the US focus on immediate results and quick gains. And the last one, indulgence vs restraint. This dimension reflects how freely people can satisfy their basic needs and desires. Indulgent culture like the US allow more freedom for enjoyment and leisure. Restrained culture like Russia have stricter social norms and control over gratification. So next is criticism of Hofstede's method. Hofstede's cultural dimensions have been influential but are not without criticism. Here's some critiques that Hofstede received. The first one, research method. Hofstede used surveys from IBM employees, which critics argue may not represent entire national culture due to the limited sample. Critics question whether IBM employees truly reflect their national cultures or if there's more variability within and between organizations. The second one, homogeneity assumption. Hofstede assumed cultural uniformity within IBM and within national cultures, but critics like Braden McSweeney argue that this is overly simplistic. National cultures can be diverse, and employees from different countries might not share a uniform culture even if they have the same job. The third one, dimensional limitation. Some critics doubt whether Hofstede's 5 dimensions are enough to capture all aspects of culture and whether these dimensions interact with each other. For example, the long-term versus short-term orientation dimension doesn't always fit well with the Chinese view of cultural paradox and dualism. And the last one, national boundaries. Hofstede's model may struggle with cultural change in regions like Hong Kong or former Yugoslavia, where national boundaries have shifted. Critics question if national profile still accurately reflects cultural realities in such cases. So next is Hofstede's response. Hofstede addressed criticism of his work by defending his use of surveys, though he acknowledged they should not be the only method. He justifies using IBM as a case study for its homogeneity and believes it helped isolate national culture. Hofstede also highlights the robustness of his research and invites others to propose additional dimensions if they can validate them. Next, cultural dimension according to Globe. The Globe study expanded on Hofstede's work by examining cultural dimension in a more detailed and nuanced way. Here's a simple breakdown of the key dimensions they identified. The first one, performance orientation. This measures how much a culture values achievement, innovation, and excellence. High performance-oriented culture emphasizes improvement and result. Second one, future orientation. This reflects how much a culture plans for invest in the future. High future-oriented culture focus on long-term goals and planning. The third one, assertiveness. This dimension looks at how much people in a culture are expected to be assertive, aggressive, and competitive versus being cooperative and modest. The fourth one, human orientation. This measures the extent to which a culture values kindness, fairness, and generosity versus self-interest. The fifth one, institutional collectivism. This assesses how much a culture emphasizes collective achievement and reward within institutions such as organization and government. The sixth one, in-group collectivism. This looks at how strongly people in a culture emphasize loyalty and support for their family and close friends. 7.1 Gender egalitarianism. This dimension examines how much a culture promotes gender equality and reduces gender roles and inequalities. The 8.1 Power distance. This measures how much less powerful members of organization and institution expect and accept unequal power distribution. The last one, uncertainty avoidance. This dimension assesses how much a culture tolerates ambiguity and uncertainty, with high uncertainty avoidance indicating a preference for clear rules and stability. The Globe study offers a broader and more detailed perspective on how cultures vary and how this variation impact leadership and organizational practices around the world. And the next, from dimension to clusters. To make sense of many different cultures, the Globe grouped them into clusters based on similarities. This helps us understand and compare cultures more easily. Factors like religion, language, geography, ethnicity, and work attitudes are considered, along with history and economic factors. The Globe study identifies 10 clusters of countries, each sharing similar cultural traits. For Anglo, it includes countries like Australia, Canada, England, Ireland, New Zealand, South Africa, and United States. For Latin Europe, it includes French, Israel, Italy, Portugal, Spain, and Switzerland. For Nordic Europe, it includes Denmark, Finland, and Sweden. For Germanic Europe, it includes Austria, Germany former East, Germany former West, Netherlands, and Switzerland. For Eastern Europe, it includes Albania, Georgia, Greece, Hungary, Kazakhstan, Poland, Russia, and Slovenia. For Latin America, it includes Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Mexico, and Venezuela. For Sub-Saharan Africa, it includes Namibia, Nigeria, South Africa, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. For Middle East, it includes Egypt, Kuwait, Morocco, Qatar, and Turkey. For Southern Asia, it includes India, Indonesia, Iran, Malaysia, Philippines, and Thailand. For Confucian Asia, it includes China, Hong Kong, Japan, Singapore, South Korea, and Taiwan. And finally, we reach the conclusion of Chapter 2, Hofstede's Cultural Dimension, over a framework for understanding cultural differences by measuring how societies score on 5 key factors like power distance, individualism vs collectivism, masculinity vs femininity, uncertainty avoidance, and long-term vs short-term orientation. His research, while influential, faces criticism for its reliance on surveys from one company, IBM, and for oversimplifying culture into just a few dimensions. Critics argue that cultures are more complex and diverse than Hofstede's model suggests. Building on Hofstede's work, the Globe study expands the analysis by identifying additional dimensions such as assertiveness, future orientation, and performance orientation. It organized culture into 10 clusters based on similarities across these dimensions, offering a broader and more detailed view of cultural patterns. This clustering helps simplify the comparison of cultures and provides insight into how cultural traits impact organizational behavior globally. And for the study case, I choose Starbucks expansion into China. The background: Starbucks is a global coffee house chain faced the challenge of expanding into the Chinese market in the early 2000s. To ensure successful integration, Starbucks needed to adapt its business practices to fit the local culture. So Starbucks applying some Hofstede's dimension. The first one, power distance. China has a high power distance, meaning that hierarchical structures are respected. Starbucks adapted by maintaining a clear chain of command within its stores. The second one, individualism vs collectivism. China is more collectivist, following group harmony over individual achievement. Starbucks introduced community-oriented store design and local partnership to foster a sense of belonging. And the third one, masculinity vs femininity. China's culture is moderately masculine, with a focus on success and competition. Starbucks emphasizes its high-quality products and premium experience to appeal the aspirational values of Chinese consumers. And the fourth, uncertainty avoidance. With high uncertainty avoidance, Chinese consumers prefer stability. Starbucks focus on consistent quality and service to build trust and reliability. And the last one, long-term vs short-term orientation. China scores high on long-term orientation, following perseverance and future rewards. Starbucks adopt a strategy of gradual market penetration and long-term investment. Starbucks also integrating globe dimension. The globe study identifies China in the Eastern Asian cluster, characterized by high uncertainty avoidance and long-term orientation. Starbucks tailored its approach by emphasizing stability, quality, and gradual integration into local market. Next, the strategy implementation. Starbucks customized its menu to include local flavors and ingredients such as green tea lattes and mooncakes. They also focus on creating third-place environment, neither home nor work, where customers could relax and socialize, aligning with local values of community and connection. By aligning its strategies with both Hofstede's and Globe's cultural dimension, Starbucks successfully adapt to the Chinese market. This approach allows Starbucks to integrate smoothly into China's cultural landscape, contributing to its ongoing success in the region. And this is the end of my presentation for chapter 1 and chapter 2. Thank you very much for your attention and have a good day everyone.